Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Heather and we are doing my top favorite books of 2023. I have picked 10 books that are in my top 10 overall favorites of 2023 and I wanted to share those with you. I'm really excited about this because I read some really good books in 2023. If you have not checked out my recent video about my stats, check that out because I do talk about all of the stats and I talk about all the numbers and all the pretty charts and all that kind of stuff for 2023, but I'm specifically talking about my top favorite books of 2023 here. So we're gonna go down the line, start from 10 and work our way up, and I'm gonna tell you what those are. So yeah, there's a good little mix in here. Got some romance, got some thrillers, got some horror. So I'm really excited. So coming in at number 10 is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I recently just read this book for the Goodreads top romances of the year and I ended up giving this 5 stars. Really liked this book. It made me laugh. It made me tear up. It was just one of those books that like made me feel all the feels. We have Brianna and Jacob in here. They are both doctors. Brianna's brother is actually in need of a kidney transplant. Jacob just recently moved to this hospital and Brianna is wanting to become like a director of the hospital, I believe, but she doesn't realize that Jacob has also been put in the running and Jacob doesn't even know that he has, so there's a little bit of animosity there. They don't really get along at first, but Jacob is just like super sweet and Brianna finally realizes that Jacob is actually a very sweet person after he apologizes to her in a letter for being a jerk, even though he didn't realize he was being a jerk. He's very introverted and he's just so like, oh my god, he's just so lovable. I loved him in this. They also end up fake dating because Jacob has to go to his brother's rehearsal dinner, but his brother is marrying Jacob's ex. So there's some stuff going on in here. They really try with this romance. They want to be together. They really do love each other, and it was just one of those sweet romances that made me feel all the feels, and I absolutely love these characters. So I can see why that this was high up on my radar and high up on everybody else's list too for 2023. The next book coming in at number 9 it's a little bit of a different lane. This is a domestic thriller. It's called Every Last Secret by A.R. Torr. And this is about Kat and Nina. And Kat and Nina live in the same neighborhood. They are frenemies, I would say. Like, keep your enemies closer, you know. Keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer. And Kat has worked super hard to get where she is. And she's married to this notoriously handsome and good-looking man. And then Nina moves into the neighborhood and starts working with Kat's husband. And Nina is a little bit obsessed with Kat's husband. Kat's husband allows Nina to get too close to him, and Kat does what she has to do to make her marriage survive. That's about all I'm going to say. But this was one of these books that I was just like, it was a train wreck, dumpster fire, and I loved every minute of it. Gave it 5 stars. It was one of those books that I was just like, yes. And A.R. Torr, this is one of the, I think this is either the second or the third book that I read by this author, and I've just really enjoyed all of their books so far. So check this out if you're looking for a domestic thriller that is just, it's like I said, it's just a dumpster fire, but it's a good time. It's a good time. I didn't really feel sorry for Nina all that much because of what she did, but then Kat, you don't want to mess with Kat, okay? You just don't want to mess with her. And then the next book coming in at number 8 is A Cry in the Dark, and I got this off of NetGalley. This is about, it's a suspense romance, and it's about these people that are going to this small town in Kentucky, and there have been murders, so they're going to investigate. They're a team of investigators, and we have our main characters who are, like I said, investigating these murders, but then they also realize that the small town is kind of culty. So there's kind of like a cult vibe in here too, but there's also a romance between our main detective and her partner. And it was just one of those books that captivated me, and one of those books that I just could not put down. And I really enjoyed the romance. I enjoyed the suspense in here. I enjoyed the detective work in here. And it's just one of those books that I've just been thinking about all year, and I really think that you need to read it. I'm not going to say much about it because I don't want to give a lot away, but just know it's like a cult suspense romance book, and it was great, and I love it, and I'm going to continue reading from this author. The next book on my list is The Right Move, and I absolutely love this book too. I read this book for the Goodreads Choice Awards, like top books for the romance category, and I can see why everybody was like head over heels for this book in 2023 as well. This is about Ryan and Indy. Indy is needing a place to stay, and she is best friends with Ryan's twin sister. Ryan is a recluse. He plays for the NBA. He likes to keep his life under wraps, and he doesn't want somebody living with him. He just likes to be on his own, and Indy really doesn't want to move in with him either, but she doesn't really have a place to go because her fiance and her just broke up, and she's just in a rut. And Indy is very eccentric. She's very outgoing. She's very loving. She's just like full of life, whereas Ryan, like I said, doesn't want to really be around people. But seeing them work with their relationship and seeing their banter and just seeing how they are attracted to one another, but neither of them really want to be attracted to each other, it just made my heart do all kinds of flips, and I was in love with them, and I shipped them so much, and it was just a sweet romance. If you have not read this series yet, pick it up because it's really, really good. I'm going to continue with this series. This is the second book in a series, but you can read them out of order. And if you want to know all of my thoughts, go watch that video for the Goodreads Choice Awards romance category, and I go dive a little bit deeper. But just know that this book is so, so good, and I loved it. Loved it. All right, switching gears again. The next book coming in at, what number are we on? 6th, is The Last Word. And this book was just a wild ride. It was one of those thrillers that I could not put down. It was action-packed. It was kind of over the top at times, but I absolutely loved it. Yeah, I ate this book up. It was a yes. I recommend this book. This is my favorite Taylor Adams book. And we are following Emma. She is at a secluded, I think it's like a cottage in the middle of nowhere, and she ends up writing a 1-star review for this book that was recommended to her, but she doesn't realize that the author is a nut, and the author starts stalking her. Weird things start happening at the cabin, and her life is already a mess anyways, and you find out why later on in the book. But she has the most survival instincts that I have read in a thriller in a really long time, and I absolutely loved it. I love it when my female protagonist in books kick ass, and she does. And then we have the dog in here too, and the dog just made it even that much better. But this is a wild ride, and it was a great time, and I really enjoyed it, and I want everybody to read it. It's, yeah, yep. And it's kind of it's kind of one of those books that do you really want to leave a 1-star for authors? Because there are some crazy ones out there, and this book proves it. So there's that. Just gonna leave it at that. Coming in at number 5 is Forget Me Not, and I really enjoyed this book too. This is a debut book, and you would not know it going into it. We have Amma, and then we also have Elliot. And Amma, I don't really know how to pronounce her name, but she is a wedding planner, and then Elliot is a florist, and they get this high-profile case, and the people that are high-profile case, they get this high-profile wedding, and the people really want to work for, or really want Elliot as their florist. But Emma and Elliot have a past, and the past was not very good for them. This is a second chance romance. So they're thrown back together to work on this wedding together, and they have to reconcile just to get through the wedding. And Elliot is, again, he's a brooding character, and he doesn't want to be around Emma. But Emma is kind of like, we need to do this because we need the money and we want the recognition. But like, you get their past and their present, and it is just so good. I loved this book. I ate it up, and it is steamy. It's got some steam to it, and the banter in here is really good. I really enjoyed the past chapters too, and what happened to them is actually realistic, and just there is miscommunication in here, but the miscommunication in here did not deter me from the story at all like it usually does. It was just a well done novel, and I loved it. Highly, highly recommend this book if you were interested. Alright, coming in at number 4, switching gears again, Wed Blood by Tiffany D. Jackson. I am one of those people that will read anything that Tiffany D. Jackson writes because, yes, this book was just amazing. It's a Carrie retelling, and we are following a girl named Madison, and she's an outcast. You find out something about her life to where her father is hiding her identity, or making her hide her identity, and you find out why. This is a really small town full of racism, and Madison is also going through a lot of physical, mental, and emotional abuse at home from her father. And you just see the town and the high schoolers bully Madison to the point where something happens, and the town, on prom night, things go wrong, and Madison gets her revenge on people. If you've never seen Carrie or read Carrie, this book is literally perfection. I loved this book. I enjoyed, well, I didn't really, I loved this book. I loved the depiction of Carrie in this. Carrie is one of my favorite Stephen King stories, and Tiffany D. Jackson, just like I said, she can do no wrong, and she literally made this retelling so much better than the original, and I absolutely love her writing style, and this book did exactly what it needed to do. So this is a really, really good book, and I think everyone should read it. This is the only YA book that is on my list, which says something. And again, I will read anything that Tiffany D. Jackson decides to write. The third, coming in at number 3, is Notes on an Execution. I recently just read this book too. This is a literary thriller suspense book about this man who is a serial killer, and he is on the chopping block. He is going to be executed in 12 hours. You are following 3 women that have been affected by him throughout what he did. And in his chapters, it's second person. So the author is saying, you were doing this, and you did this, and you did this. But when we get the perspective of the women that were in his life that he affected so much, it's from a first person's perspective. We get the perspective of the detective who actually brought him down, like caught him. We get this perspective of his fiance, wife's twin sister, and then you also get the perspective of his mom. So the story itself was very well done. It made me, I had to think about it a lot because like I watch a lot of true crime, especially documentaries, and listen to a lot of true crime stories and stuff like that, and it felt so real to me that I had to remind myself that it's fiction because I wanted to look the case up. So it was just really well done. It was a very well written book. It's the only literary fiction book that's on my list, but it's just, I'm going to continue with this author because it was just so well done. And I really, sorry if you heard that, but yeah, it was just one of those books that I am continuing to think about and I would like to reread, honestly. I also listened to the audiobook to it while I read it physically as well on my Kindle. So it was just one of those books that's really, really good if you're looking for a good literary thriller book, or if you were one of those people that likes literary fiction but want to get into a thriller book, this would be a good one for you. The next one was my last book of 2023. It's called Role Playing, and again, this book was just all of the feels. Oh my goodness, this is about Maggie and a guy named Aiden, and they are older characters. Maggie is a 48-year-old recluse who just got her son off to college. She is a divorcee as well, and she works from home. She likes to be by herself. She doesn't care what other people think about her. And we also have Aiden, who is taking care of his sick mother, and his mom and him do not have a good relationship whatsoever. You find out why later on in the book. This has LGBTQ plus or A plus representation in here as well. And Maggie and Aiden have very open communication. They become friends first. They're both on this online gaming guild together. They meet because Aiden broke his foot, and Maggie was like, hey, I'll bring you food, because she initially thinks that he is like a 21-year-old kid just online, but he's actually a grown adult. He's 50, and they just have the cutest relationship ever. Open communication. There's no judgment in here. They just really fall for each other in a genuine way, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. It was just so good, and I recommend it to everybody. Like, if you're looking for a cute contemporary romance with older characters, I would recommend this to you. It's so good. All right, and my number one book for 2023, I read it very early on in 2023, but it's still at the top of my list because I connected with this character so much, and I just love the romance in it. I enjoyed the overall story, and I enjoyed all the side characters. I'm going to continue with this series because you get to see all these side characters again. And yeah, I also really enjoyed the sister-brother relationship in here too. It was just, I connected with Phoebe so much in here. Phoebe is an introverted person. She is also writing a book on serial killers. And again, like I said before, I watch a lot of true crime, listen to a lot of true crime, not because I am obsessed with it, but because I like to learn about people's psychological mindset. And Phoebe was the exact same way. She moves into her late father's house to clean it out, and this guy named Sam lives across the street, and she is convinced that he is a serial killer because he has weird hours and he does things in his garage, and she's just like writing this book on serial killers plus watching him out her window. But when they finally meet, she realizes that he's not a serial killer and he is actually a teacher. So the reason why he has weird hours is because he had the summer off. But they end up meeting, they have this relationship, it's very cute, there's open communication. They do have a little spat, but it is one of those things where Phoebe is just trying to protect herself. Sam understands that, and then they just, I love this book so much. This was such a cute book, and I cannot wait to continue with this series. The next book is called Cold World, but I loved it. I love this series. This is Love in the Time of Serial Killers. If I did not say that, I don't remember if I did or not. But yes, I have never felt more seen by a character than I did in this book. And I recommend it to everybody. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. This is my number one pick of 2023. If you have not read this yet, I would highly suggest you reading it, especially if you love contemporary romance. And if you do consume a lot of true crime, I think you would really connect with Phoebe as well. But also, like I said before, her brother and her have a really good relationship, and that was something special for me to read about in this book. And even though they did lose their father recently, so there is some emotional things going on with that, because they're having to clean out his house. There's just a lot of memories in the house as well. They become even closer than they were, and Sam is a sweetheart. Loved him too. So yes, I'm gonna gush about this book for a really long time. If you have not read it yet, pick it up. It's really, really good. But those are the 10 books. Those are my top 10 books of 2023. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these. I hope you enjoyed this video. I cannot wait for all of the reading that is going to happen in 2024. And yeah, I'm just really excited about it. I hope you enjoyed it. And I will see you on the next video. Bye.